Now a story you'll see only tonight on NBC4. 2 weeks after more than 200 victims of sexual assault by former Ohio State University Dr. Richard Strauss asked the NCAA and the Big Ten Conference to investigate OSU's handling of that case, some former athletes are sharing new information tonight about their former coaches, including Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. For the first time, a former champion wrestler is detailing what he claims was an angry confrontation with his coaches, just minutes after the wrestler says he was molested by Dr. Strauss. But it is clear the athletes and Jim Jordan have very different versions of what happened. Larkins Hall is no longer standing on the campus of The Ohio State University. But what happened here in these showers and in medical exam rooms under the guise of routine physicals is firmly present in the memories of hundreds of men.
It's inconceivable that coaches didn't know something was wrong, no matter what.
The independent investigation by the Perkins Coie law firm, commissioned by the university itself, concluded coaches did know. Trainers, athletic directors, other university doctors all knew that Dr. Richard Strauss was fondling, molesting, sexually assaulting young men in his care. It started in 1979 and continued until his forced retirement in 1998.
I was warned about Dr. Strauss. People call him jelly fingers. People said he was weird. People said he was going to fondle your genitals.
That's when I kind of was in line and, was hearing some of the stories and people, talking about, hey, you're going to get violated and he's going to touch you for a long period of time.
Dunyasha Yates was a rock star wrestler, an eventual Big Ten champion who was heavily recruited by OSU when he decided to leave Purdue his junior year. His first day at Ohio State, he got in line for a Dr. Strauss physical that he says resulted in 10 minutes of invasive genital groping.
Yes, I'm very angry. I storm out the door there, and when storming out the door, I encountered Coach Hellickson and Coach Jordan and a few other wrestlers that were standing there. So I was yelling and screaming at the coaches about what just happened. If this is how you guys, if things are going like this at Ohio State, I'm sad I ever, transferred here.
Then Yet says he listened outside the door when head coach Russ Hellickson and assistant coach, now Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, confronted the doctor.
And I hear, doctor, 2 hands on. The guys are always complaining about your physicals. They're complaining about, always coming in here, whether it was certain injuries, you're groping on these guys or you're touching these guys inappropriately.
Mike Lane says he was there too when Yates confronted the coaches, Hellickson and Jordan.
Yeah, I witnessed Dunyasha Yates come in angry with a flared-up event. I witnessed that in super clear memory.
But Congressman Jordan told me last year he has no memory of anyone ever complaining about Dr. Strauss and does not remember the doctor staying in the shower for hours every day with the young athletes. And one of the referees said he personally told you that. Yeah. Has any of that refreshed your memory about what was going on with Dr. Strauss while you were there?
Look, every single coach has said the same thing I've said. All kinds of athletes have said the same thing I've said, and the reason they've said that is because it's the truth. The idea that I wouldn't stand up for our athletes if I thought there was some kind of harm happening to them is ridiculous.
Again this week, the congressman denied knowing about Strauss, saying through a spokesman, Congressman Jordan never saw any abuse, never heard about any abuse, never had any abuse reported to him during his time as a coach at Ohio State. And if he had, he would have dealt with it.
My question is about Jim Jordan and what the relationship was with Dr. Strauss.
A coach then, a congressman now, Jim Jordan is inescapably linked to the Strauss scandal.
This isn't about Jim Jordan. This is about the fact that Ohio State knew about Dr. Strauss, knew that he was abusing athletes for 20 years and did nothing about it.
Mike Schick, like so many of the former wrestlers, liked and admired his coaches.
I went to Ohio State because of Russ Hellickson and Jim Jordan. Jimmy was my assistant coach for 5 years. Love the man. And, he's going to have to answer to, what he knew and why he knew, and that's on him.
He has called into question your credibility, claiming that no one ever came to him and he was unaware of it. Is it possible that a coach in those locker rooms at that time could have been unaware of what was happening with Dr. Richard Strauss?
My credibility is pretty intact, and I got 350 plus other people that would back that, because we all know the truth and what happened.
No, it's not possible they didn't know, but it is possible that they genuinely did not see it as abuse.
Mike Lane says he was 18 with a scholarship on the line and knew he was expected to silently suffer through a Strauss exam because, he says, Russ Hellickson and Jim Jordan wanted all of them to man up.
They are tough, durable, solid, strong, performing human beings who competed at Olympic levels. So their standards for performance and durability and toughness that they really wanted to share with us and teach us took away their ability to add compassion and deep understanding about suffering and victim potential.
Russ Hellickson was a Hall of Fame coach. He declined to be interviewed for this story, but in a statement, he tells me coaching great men in wrestling for 20 years at Ohio State was a special time for me. I would always rather stay on the high road for all, but telling lies about others to enhance a cause is shameful. I do hope the victims receive just compensation. And Carrie, I take that to mean he might not believe all of the claims, but he recognizes there are some victims. But, you know, there are those who believe these were Big Ten elite athletes. How could this happen to someone like that? How could they be victimized? And we're going to have more on that at 11.
And not just some victims. There's a lot of people here. I want to go back a second because Yates, we were even talking about this in the newsroom. There's some concern around him.
About his credibility.
Yeah.
He did have a conviction many years after he was at Ohio State, a fraud conviction. He freely admits to that. He served his time, and he says that has nothing to do with what happened to him and those hundreds of other victims at Ohio State.
They are brave to come forward and tell their story.
Some of these guys have their face on this lawsuit.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. Colleen, thanks.